Hey guys, I'm Matt Lighty. This video is about easy solo self-found league starters based around 10 different T4 to 5 uniques. So what I mean by T4 or 5 uniques, no more than the tier is based off of their like rarity. So T4 and 5 are quite common. Like you'll see these on like day 1 of league. If you're like getting the maps, you'll see multiple T4 and 5s. None of these are rare at all. So all of these builds are based off of 4 and 5s because I hear people like soft bitch about saying, I don't know what to do in solo selfa. All these builds can get to T16s. All right, so there's 10 uniques here. I'm going to click on the build that I've associated with them. You can do other stuff with them, but these are all very common uniques, T4 or 5 uniques. And these are builds that work for them. So the first one was Obliteration. All these builds using Obliteration. All these builds are just some sort of Ignite Elementalist. Like this dude's doing Detonate Dead. This dude's doing Detonate Dead. This dude's doing Wave of Conviction. I don't know how many different things people are doing. Flame. Yeah, it looks like it's just mostly Wave of Conviction, Detonate Dead. But these builds on like nothing but that unique plus just rare gear on a 5-link, you're getting to red maps no problem. All right, so that's the basis. You get an idea of what we're talking about now. These are good. These are good uniques. They're really easy to use and they're very powerful, right? Obliteration gives you a bunch of damage. It gives you explosions. So fantastic. The next one is Mind Spiral. Mind Spiral works with pretty much any Archmage build, particularly non-agnostic ones. But like, so this guy's playing Ice Nova of Frostbolts. You could do Lightning Conduit of the Heavens. You could do Arc. You could do Spark. Any of those. Velakos is also good, but Mind Spiral is pretty sick. It gives you a ton of damage recoup as mana. It gives you the bunch of flat mana, and it gives you a bunch of max mana as ES. So super, super good, especially when you're doing like, you know, Hyro stuff. So Mind Spiral is a great one that you get that, and then, you know, it just takes that any Archmage build to that next level. Hex Blast for Dreadarc is like a very known one, especially for trade. Any Hex Blast build requires really you to have some sort of curse to trigger its large amounts of damage for the hexing part. You can use things like the Stinky Profane Ground or Blasphemy, but like they're kind of meh. But you want to have the Dreadarc curse on hit. Just really, really helps to make it get to that next degree, especially because you want to do more curses, right? At least 2 for Eloic plus some elements. This one's using Flam to get that curse on there. So Dreadarc is a great one for Hex Blast. We have a White Wind for Frostblades, so you could do this in a few different ways. Obviously, this guy has like Yoke and Heat Shiver. That shit doesn't matter. Like you just use White Wind. You can get to red maps, nothing but a White Wind. Frostblades is super, super good. Particularly, I like Frostblades with Returning Proj. Let's see if we can get a guy who's using one of those. Any Returning Proj gamers in the mix? Maybe not. These are all Catabasis ones. These are regular Frostblades. Well, you don't have to use Returning Proj. I like Returning Proj personally. But Frostblades with White Wind is so cool because it gives you just that large amount of cold damage, the flat and the percent scaling. The whole thing is you just have to use no offhand, but it just gives you a ton of suppression, a ton of evasion. Super great unique. You can easily get to red maps and, you know, start red mapping around. Tricksters, there's also a couple. This guy's a Berserker of some sort. He's got some more advanced memes going on here, but the same basis. This guy's a Raider. More traditional Raider. Ooh, Celestial Brace. Very cool. It's a shit tier unique drop lock behind an Uber, but there it is. Yeah, not a lot of returning Proj boys. Any returning Proj boys in the mix? No one likes returning projectiles but me. I'm all alone in this returning projectile world. Either way, Frostblades, White Wind, very good. Consuming Dark Poison Tornadoes. I really like just tornadoes as a concept, especially the poison variations. So this is like in a cultist version. I don't know why a focused amulet's so weird. But there's just like, basically just use 2 Consuming Darks. Nothing else matters. 2 Consuming Darks. And then you just make your combat focuses. These are a vendor recipe. And you just do a poison tornado. You know, either you could do a poison tornado, or you could just use them like just a dot one. But your chaos damage having a 60% chance to poison, you know, that stacks. So does the fire converted to chaos. So it's 2 of those. You could do Infernal Mantle. A lot of them do these boots, Inexorable Fate. Just so when you're standing, you're stationary, the thing gets 3 grasping vines, so all your damage can poison. Cool, easy. But yeah, consuming darks for that sort of thing. Mings is also pretty low, so it's like adds to the fun of the poison NATO fun time. But yeah, consuming dark's pretty good. Quite common, gives you gem levels, gives you damage. Very good unique for that sort of thing. Piscators, this is one of the better ones. I mean, these are all great. Like, the whole point is these things cost like under 10C, like week 1. Some of them are a chaos week 1. And you could get these builds to red maps, no problem. So even if 5 of these get nerfed next league, even though none of these have really been nerfed ever, they're there. So Piscator's Vigil plus, I did Ellie hit of the Tism on the Spectrum, right? Just because it scales so well. So the whole thing is like, Piscator's has no flat. It's all percent scaling, pen, attack speed, crit rate, all the good stuff. It just has no flat damage. What has a ton of flat damage? Elemental Hit of the Spectrum, right? So you can utilize that to get a ton of flat damage. This one's actually really cool. I like the Trickster ones because they're using Sacred Wisps and Returning Proj. Talk about fucking a mountain of clear, but that is like a whole bunch of shenanigans happening there. Very cool one. I think there's also some Deadeyes. Yeah, Deadeyes, Raiders, Tricksters. They're all basically the same. This one's using Tahuani. Sorry, Tanu Ahi. I was mixed that one up. And it yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got this is also a tier 4 unique, I want to say. Tier 4? T for Tanu. Tanu Ahi, tier 4. So it's very, very common as well. You'll be able to find those in Piscator. So you could use 2 tier 4 uniques, that one. Very chill. I like the Wander one. Would recommend the Ellie Hit one. This next one's extra sick also. So Frost Breath is the unique. That's the base unique, right? Frost Breath is weird, right? It's like, why would you use a Frost Breath? Well, I'll tell you why. It is a weapon that says attacks deal double damage to chilled enemies. Because it's a mace, you pick up the Mace Mastery. All damage with maces can chill. All right. And you're using trauma stacking on Dual Strike of Ambidexterity, meaning you're using the damage of the main hand and the attacks through the offhand. So use a fast offhand, okay? And you use the Frost Breath main hand, so it's quick, like this is. It's doing double damage. It's doing 70% more damage, and all your flats coming from trauma. So you don't have to worry about that. And as a Juggernaut, you're getting around the downsides of it. So, again, Tanuahi, very cool. Another tier 5 unique. This build can crush content, no problem. Easy peasy. Costs 2 chaos to build, right? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everything else is rares. So, very, very nice there. Joffrey's Crest, we have the Holy Relic builds. There's tons of versions of this. Holy Relic is quite known at this point. All the helmet does is give you another Holy Relic. It's like doubling your damage effectively. For the Holy Relic of Conviction. So you get 3, I guess, in total. With more CDR. This one uses a Dendrobate for a poison variation. Dendrobate, also a tier 4 or 5 unique. Extremely common. Dawnbreaker, guess what? It's a 40% chance to drop off of Exarch. Extremely common. There's a lot of really cool builds that utilize, this. You don't need this for explosions, but like, it's just, this build is so strong. The Holy Relic of Conviction that like, Joffrey's is just like doubling your damage, kind of. So, pretty cool. Trier Grips, also tier 4 or 5. Very accessible in the same way. But, yeah. Joffrey's Crest Grey one. There's a couple, I think, that do Guardians. These are... this guy's using nothing but budget uniques. So, just goes to show, this like, has been notably piss easy to, like, get yourself to red maps with Holy Relic. So, would recommend. What you use to trigger it is kind of up to you. Some people just use like a shield charge setup, or some people use other things. But yeah, it's a very easy to trigger mechanic. This guy's using Chober Chabber and Coming Calamity. I think both of those are tier 4 or 5 also. Although I wouldn't recommend that. I'd probably just play Necro, but that's me. Speaking of Necro, Phantasm. So I don't like this build, but it's here because it does work. The reason I don't like it is because I feel like so the whole thing is you're triggering typically with an automated corpse eating mechanic, right? Because you're getting corpses if you consume a corpse recently. However, like this guy is using the common setup of Cast when Channeling, Cyclone, Bone Offering, Desecrate. If you don't have the boots that set your move speed, what is it called? No one's got one here. set your move speed at Stampedes. Set your move speed at 50. It feels kind of bad, but it's like a known build. I'm not a huge fan of Soulrest, but it costs nothing, like a 1C. It's very common. And yes, it can get you to red maps. The amount of damage you get from the Phantasms is extremely high. They are good, and the benefit of using Soulrest is it doesn't have to be linked. It just has to be socketed. So there's like a lot of kind of added ease, especially in League launch. It's like get a Soulrest, 6-socketed, you're boom. That gets obviously a lot easier to 6-socket something than 6-link something. And you can kind of play it in a Zoomancer setup with like skeletons and specters, etc. But yeah, it's super, super easy to build. It's not difficult at all to progress with it. So, you know, this guy's using poison, which makes sense. It's a lot of added flat. The little fucking Phantasms are attacking. So, yeah, and if you put a Phantasm in there, I believe it double triggers, so it's just going and going. But, yep, that's a good one. And finally, we have another tried and tested build, EA Totems. I much prefer playing an Elementalist over a champion. However, champion are much more common to use a Quill Rain. Gives you a ton of attack speed, right? And all you want to do is hit 10 charges for Explosive Arrow. These builds, very prevalent hardcore. People love to play EA champion and hardcore. I prefer the Elementalist again because the single target's better. However, this one is substantially tankier. Dyed Dawns is not a tier 4 or 5. However, Quill Rain is a tier 5, very common. Perseverance is a T4-5, so that's also very common. But this drops in red maps pretty much only. It's a level 77 required drop, so you're going to only get that in higher tiers, but it is higher. Rain of Splinters comes just from valing Crimsons, but yep, Quill Rain could pretty much get you red maps, no problem, on an EA champion. Tried and tested build. And that's about it. That was the entire point of this video. It's just showing you all these uniques that are the basis or pillar of these very easy to build builds that really only have rares aside from it. There's no secret hidden linchpin of a unique required here. These uniques can be used on these builds to get you 2 red maps and farming red maps very easily, very comfortably. If you don't know how to play the game, this won't help you. If you don't know how to identify and craft rare gear in the most rudimentary form, which could just be using ROG or tossing on an essence or fossil crafting, this won't help you. This isn't going to hold your hand. This is going to point you in a direction and say, hey, you know, I know you were struggling with trying to figure out a build that uses a 1C unique to do maps. Well, guess what? Piscators and Sintrek are both T4 and 5 uniques. Super easy to use. Play it on a Trickster, and you could crush content no problem. So that's it. That's the gist of the video. Utilize these cheap uniques because they are extremely valuable and extremely good, and especially in Solo Self-Found when it's annoying to get things. So God bless. Enjoy. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the description below. This little document will be here to gently hold your hand a little bit. But yeah, get to red maps. Solo Self-Found. No excuses. There's so easy builds to do it. I'm Mathew Lighty. Have a good day. Bye-bye.